Hello again, Adam here. So it's been a while since the last video, and at the end of the last video I said I would be starting a main project. Well, it's been a while, so I think I should probably show it off a bit. And it's this, Cybersurfer. What is it? Well, back in late January, early February, there was a global game jam, and I submitted a game called sickhacks.root. Over time, I was fiddling around with it, making improvements to it, and after a while I decided that I wanted to do something with it. So by the time I finished the last video, I had made my decision to start this project as my proper main project going forward. And if you've watched the Demo Day 51 stream, or the highlight of it that's on YouTube, which I'll link below, you may have seen this game as the last game of that stream. And a lot of what I'm going to be talking about here is stuff I was talking about there. But I want to cover a few things about it, and maybe hopefully get some feedback from you guys as well. So what's the current state of it? Currently it's in a very early prototype stage. I have a single testbed level that is currently a flat track with curves, semi-functioning rails, speed pads, and walls and obstacles to avoid, and some ramps. You can do tricks, and that's about it. I did want to build more verticality into the levels, even with loop-de-loops and going uphill and downhill. However, currently the player's hoverboard is physics-driven, which means it's pushing above the ground. So stuff like loop-de-loops and general curvature is actually very difficult to work with because the player keeps getting pushed away from the ground. So if you go like up a wall sideways, they're gonna get pushed away from the wall and go downwards because of gravity. As for the rails, currently a single rail is no problem, but once you start having multiple rails and you want to switch between them, it is possible, and I will probably put footage of it here, but in terms of programming it's an absolute nightmare and it's something I need to fix and change. As for building tracks, what I do is I have a spline, I then duplicate it, extrude that, turn it into the base for the actual track ground, and then build some colliders from that duplicate to act as sort of walls on the side. And I use the original spline to generate waypoints on the map. Originally these waypoints would be a distance check, and as the player got close to one it would set to the next waypoint and continue pushing them along the track. However, it didn't really work all that great because as the player would move around it would cause the distance check to not work correctly. So I changed it to a trigger box mechanism. So I have a series of trigger colliders along the track, and that's turning the player as they're going through the track. It does work, but it's not great. In regards to the current state of the prototype, I'm not terribly happy with how it plays. I mean, yes, it's functional, but I also feel like the track itself is boring and you kind of know what to expect with it, even when you've never played it before. And I think adding verticality to the level will probably help. However, with the physics-driven hoverboard that I currently have, I don't think it's going to be possible for me to do that. So I think going forward I'm going to remove that physics-driven hoverboard and put in a more traditional collider with a model on top, and work from there. And perhaps then I can start building levels with more verticality and more interesting things to it. And in terms of how I want it to play, I want it to be similar to the SSX but in a sort of audio surf way, where you are constantly going forward but you do hit sick ramps and rails and various other things and you're getting score from it. I do have a few other games I want to look at. A lot of what I'm doing now is currently based on stuff like Distance and Wipeout HD, and I'm heavily influenced by audio surf, clearly, especially in terms of moving the player along the track and moving them side to side. But I've also gotten a suggestion to play Airblade and a couple of other things as well. And that's it, really. If you have any suggestions for games I should maybe look at for inspiration, or just some general feedback on anything you've seen, feel free to leave a comment. You can find me on Twitch, links in the description. You can also support me on Ko-fi. I would also recommend checking out my itch.io page, and all of the links are down in the description. I'll see you in the next video, which not sure what that'll be, and just as a reminder, I am working on Cybersurfer as well, but it'll take a little bit longer to get an update on that. So I'll see you next time. Bye.